They say that oysters are an aphrodisiac, which would explain the internet's meltdown over Prince William and his waiters.
Let us make an example of Prince William, because what a good thing that he's proposing to do.
We've seen with Prince William that it's about him using his royal status to focus attention on something else.
And you can see now the way the Walesers are doing it. They're ramping up the PR game with slick videos of their behind-the-scenes look at the coronation. They're definitely starting to play the PR game.
Prince William has launched an ambitious programme to end homelessness within 5 years. The future king is personally funding the £3 million projects in flagship locations across the UK.
After so many years in the making, today is the day we launch Homewards, a transformative 5-year programme that will demonstrate that it is possible to end homelessness. I first visited a homelessness shelter when I was 11 with my mother. The visits we made together left a deep and lasting impression. I've met so many extraordinary people and listened to so many heartbreaking personal stories. Too many people have found themselves without a stable and permanent place to call home. Through these visits, I have seen firsthand the breadth and complexities of homelessness.
Gosh, nobody can say that Prince William is a vacuous royal doing nothing but cutting ribbons. I mean, to go in public and say, I'm going to end homelessness in 5 years, it's a hell of a thing to claim that you might be able to do. So how is he going to do it?
Well, it's bold and it's a big ambition,
Huge.
Vanessa. It has... it's his first intervention as the Prince of Wales, first major intervention as the Prince of Wales, but something that he's been working towards and campaigning for decades now. He talked about that first visit to a homeless shelter when he was just 11 years old. So what he's got is 6 pilot schemes around the UK. He's visited 3 of them today, in Lambeth, in London, in Bournemouth and in Newport in Wales. And it's a coalition, really, of charities, of the voluntary sector, of businesses, of local authorities, of individuals, of experts, all coming together to try and find a solution to the homelessness problem. Now, he talks about the numbers of people who are homeless in one form or another, not all living on the streets, but sofa surfing, living in cars, living in hostels, temporary accommodation, and trying to find them a permanent home. And it is about building houses and homes for those people.
And he's going to be making grants from his personal charity, grants of £500,000 in each one of the 6 different places. And how is he going to cut through all the red tape that so often stops local councils or governments or even housing associations building homes? And we keep on hearing there are big pushes to build. Then there's a tremendous amount of NIMBYism saying, not in my backyard, I don't want any development near here, thank you. And nothing happens. So how is he going to transcend that?
Well, I think that's the biggest challenge, isn't it? Look, as a member of the royal family, he can look further and longer term than a short-term political viewpoint, I guess. But he's also got to be careful not to stray into the politics. He is getting into the political arena here. He's held meetings with Michael Gove, he's held meetings with Keir Starmer. His father wasn't afraid to get into the political arena, either was he, on climate change. And I think William is very keen that this be seen as a social issue that needs a societal approach to it. So he's convening those people together to try and cut through that red tape and really make a difference.
We were told, weren't we, that William and Kate were determined to do it differently. They were no longer going to just bowl up somewhere, get out of a car, watch some children dancing, cut a ribbon, plant a tree, throw a bottle of champagne against a ship and go home. They weren't going to do that anymore. It was going to involve getting donations from local businesses and local dignitaries and local patrons and making something big happen and leaving a kind of lasting legacy in each different place they touch down in. It sounds as if they really are working on that.
And it is all about legacy. I mean, this is his big legacy project inspired by his mother, the other one being Earthshot, inspired by his father's work on climate change. And the local approach is absolutely key here, because this is local organisations, local people finding a solution to their own individual local challenges. And the hope is that at the end of the 5 years, the results of these 6 pilot schemes will give hope to the rest of the UK and that this model can be rolled out across the UK.
But I'm delighted to say this morning I'm actually going to be talking about something worthy of praise, because it's not often that we get to praise somebody for doing something, because quite often we get to moan about somebody not doing something. But this morning, I'm going to offer a tip of the hat, shall we say, and a complimentary hello to Prince William. He is, of course, the Prince of Wales. He is the heir to the throne. He is the man who is the absolute and utter antipathy of what his brother is. Yesterday, he announced in the Sunday Times that he's going to end homelessness. Now, at first glance, you think, really? What exactly can you do? Somebody born into a life of privilege. But let us not forget, his mother, Princess Diana, who was, of course, the Princess of Wales when she so tragically died young in a car crash in Paris, she was very much a friend of the homeless. She was very much an ally of people who were less fortunate than she was. She was the person who first was out seen hugging children who were suffering from AIDS and other AIDS victims. She also masterminded a campaign against landmines. But she was always on the side of the homeless, and she was always visiting Centre Point, which was one of the homeless charities that started up very much around her name and around her image. But it's brilliant to see Prince William now taking that on and doing the same thing. Let us make an example of Prince William, because what a good thing that he's proposing to do. He's actually going to use the land that he owns. He's going to build social housing on it, and he's going to house the homeless. I think that has got to be something worth praise, and it's got to be something worth highlighting, and I'm very happy to be able to do so. So, Prince William, I take my hat off to you. I think you've done a great thing.
The Daily Beast, I want to read the headline word for word. Prince William and Kate Middleton sabotage Prince Harry's Invictus launch. And that is a headline from the Daily Beast today in regards to this amazing episode of The Good, the Bad, and the Rugby with the Princess Royal, Prince William, and the Princess of Wales discussing their love for sport. Prince William goes into his love for the Paralympics. Does not mention his brother's Invictus Games. Catherine discusses these late night swims and how competitive she is at the school's parents' race day, how she'll race barefoot, you know, giving us those Princess Diana vibes. Remember that great photo of Diana racing at the parents' day in her skirt? I mean, I want to think this isn't intentional, Christo, but this is pretty savage.
And did they release this on the day of the Invictus Games launch?
Yes, when Prince Harry went out and did this big speech about kicking off the Invictus Games.
Well, do you know what they've done? They've pulled rank. They have pulled rank because they are the Prince and Princess of Wales. They are allowed to have the moment. And I'm sorry, Harry being the spare, and my God, hasn't he told us about it? Because, you know, he's made it very clear he's the spare. He's made it very clear that he is in the back seat whilst Prince William is in the front. Unfortunately, this is one of the things you have to cope with. And he may have tried to steal their thunder in other ways, but this is absolutely fair and reasonable.
Yes, I mean, what you just referenced right there was the fact that we knew going into the one-year anniversary of the Queen's death that King Charles had asked the Princess of Wales and Prince William to step up and actually represent the family for the one-year anniversary. We knew for weeks that we anticipated to see them on that date. Not only did Prince Harry go to Wellchild the night before and reference Queen Elizabeth and mention that she would prefer that he be there, that he knew that she'd be happy that he was there. But the next day, like moments before William and Catherine laid their wreath in memory of Queen Elizabeth, there were snaps of Prince Harry leaving Windsor Castle, where he visited the Queen, you know, in her final resting place. And so it really is just a tit for tat right now that we're seeing, all leading up to, I believe, Prince William coming to New York City for this Earthshot announcement of who the finalists are for the Earthshot Prize. They say that oysters are an aphrodisiac, which would explain the internet's meltdown over Prince William and his waiters strategically landing in the Big Apple during New York's Climate Week and the 78th session of the UN General Assembly. The prince spent some time with New York Harbor's Billion Oyster Project to learn more about the restoration of oyster reefs in NYC. Seeing Big Willie take a dip in New York's East River had royal watchers insisting that his status as a sex symbol was in full effect. We saw Prince William in his prime in NYC, associating with some of America's, the world's most powerful individuals. He has distanced himself from the drama by inserting himself in solutions. The way that the Prince and Princess of Wales engross themselves in their engagements. Think Catherine's inflatable vest, William in his fluorescent orange life preserver. Those images leave significant impressions that keep our minds on their unique life of service. This was a relatively quiet power play by Prince William as he traveled discreetly around NYC for important meetings and engagements, jogged through Central Park unnoticed, no 2-hour car chase. I think that perhaps William intentionally wanted to keep a low profile to show that it could be done. And his brother, well, I think he looks for trouble and often finds it.
Now, ahead of the King and Queen's visit to France, we had Prince William on a 2-day trip to the United States to promote his Earthshot Prize. It has been deemed a great success by sources close to the royal. Duncan, what about the kind of reception that the Prince of Wales received in New York? Because given all that has been going on in America with Prince Harry and the Netflix documentary, the publication of Spare, the revelations about the breakdown of that relationship, might he have been feeling a little apprehensive about this visit?
Well, I think, look, we remember Harry and Meghan going to New York to receive an award, and Meghan went and read a book to children in a school in Harlem. For me, it reminded me of the differences now between the two of them. Meghan went there because it's brand Harry and Meghan, and it was about them. I think we've seen with Prince William that it's about him using his royal status to focus attention on something else, i.e. his Earthshot Prize in this particular example. And I think it showed that contrast between former royals trying to promote themselves and an actual royal, an actual future king.
I mean, it has been pointed out on social media that William managed to go for a jog in Central Park completely incognito, whereas Harry and Meghan couldn't leave an awards event without being chased by paparazzi.
Yes, quite. And yeah, I think for Prince William, probably it underlines the division between him and his brother as well. I mean, it wouldn't have been nice for William to be in America and not see his brother. And you feel recently with the Invictus Games, what a shame relations aren't good enough for William to add his support to that. And equally with William going to New York, what a shame that relations aren't good enough for Harry to lend some support to the Earthshot Prize. It just seems like it highlights the damage that's been done by this rift within a family.
But this visit to New York, Afia, really marking a shift in status for Prince William, from the Duke of Cambridge to the Prince of Wales and our next king.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, like I said with King Charles III, it's all about him putting his mark on the global stage as a future leader, as a global statesman. And the Earthshot Prize is a brilliant way of doing that.
Tell us a bit about the Earthshot Prize and what it is.
The Earthshot Prize is basically a £1 million fund, and it's given to 5 people in the end. They've got 15 finalists at the moment, and that was down from 1,000 entries from 6 continents across the world, down to final 15, then a final 5, and they win a grant. And the grant basically is about research and development into solutions for environmentalism. So whether that is waste, whether that is sustainability, different areas within environmentalism, basically about making our world better.
Cleaner air, cleaner water, for example. Some really interesting moments. Yeah. We saw the Prince of Wales wading into the Hudson River in waders, rubber gloves and a life jacket.
For oysters, wasn't it?
Yes.
Putting oysters, I think, back in the Hudson River, and they want to, I think it was a billion oyster plan or a million
oyster project. Yep. And they collect the oyster shells from New York restaurants, empty oyster shells. They then grow baby oysters. I mean, sorry, I've probably got the terminology all wrong.
But
and they put them back in because they filter the water.
I loved the way that William sort of donned that outfit and showed that it's not, he's the Prince of Wales now. He can still roll his sleeves up quite literally and get mucky and make points there. Whereas contrast that to his father in France, and you know, you can see how, if you like, it's kind of shifted now, where you've got the king and the Prince of Wales, it's moved along the generations. And I thought that was quite telling how William was I thought it was a very clever bit of PR spin by the palace to show that I'm just William in my waders.
I think Prince William's Earthshot Prize, if the prizes that he gives out and for research and development into sustainable projects come to fruition, it's an absolutely brilliant idea. I don't think him and Prince Harry were ever competing for this eco-crown.
I agree.
At all. I think he's taking up his father's mantle, actually, of sustainability and looking at climate change. And as for him becoming a global world leader, I mean, he's in training to become king, so he has to be able to, he's stretching his use of soft diplomacy and being on the world stage and meeting all these world leaders for perhaps when it's his time.
Now, William, I understand, is thinking about how the coronation service should be further modernised. So weird that I should hear that, given that I was thinking exactly that watching it.
Well, I think he knows that it's definitely the rituals aren't, and he's thinking, is that sort of thing relevant for a modern monarchy? And how do you evolve? Now, it is the coronation service in a way, you can trace it back to 900 AD. So so what he's looking at is how it evolves. And one of William's challenges, and indeed the King's, is to continue to make them feel that the institution is relevant to young people in this country. And when you look at the polls and everything, when people question between 18 and 24, you can clearly see that the monarchy doesn't have the resonance that it does with the older generation. So it's got to make sure that even when it comes to something like the coronation, that people sort of can associate with it, because all that ritual, yes, there was a much more varied congregation in the 2,300 people there, but clearly from the TV perspective, how does it seem relevant? And then when you look at the pictures of the balcony, the age of the monarchy, apart from William and Kate and their 3 children, you know, looking at that, it's a very old look about it. Whatever you say, they've got to make sure that the pared down monarchy is seen to be something that the majority of this country can associate with, even though, of course, they do live a lifestyle that is way beyond most of us by a long shot. So therefore, they have got their image, and you can see now the way the Walesers are doing it. They're ramping up the PR game with slick videos of their behind-the-scenes look at the coronation. They're definitely starting to play the PR game. I wonder why that is.